So the first thing that you want to do is to log into your SARS Efiling profile. Then after we log in, this is what we're going to see. So this is the dashboard that you're going to see once you log into your SARS profile. Then you go here to returns issued, you go to personal income tax, and then because we're in 2024, you request return. Okay, so then this is what's going to pop up after you request a return, and then you say my tax return. So once you open your tax return, this is what it's going to look like. And these are the things that you'll have to complete, right? So it's going to have your details and the taxpayer's name, and then it's going to have a back button if you want to go back. It's going to have a save button if you want to save the tax return and want to come back. If you have completed everything and you want to submit it to SARS, then there's that icon. If you want to calculate, which is essentially after you've done it and you just want to see what the statement is going to look like, then you can just select calculate. If you want to print, and then also the source documents. So this is a form wizard, which is just the questions, standard questions that you have to answer. And this then drives the other parts of the tax return. And then there's a tax information. That's your information. So you have to look at that information and make sure that the information is correct. You have to check your banking details. And then this part here is employee tax certificate information that you receive from your employer. So if you have had like more than 2 jobs in a year, then there'll be 2 IRP5s in this section. Then here it will show your income and here are the deductions. So these two are driven by the form wizard and what you've selected at the top here at the form wizard portion. So if you open the form wizard, this is what it looks like, and it asks you standard questions. And then for some of them, it wants you to mark with an X. For example, if this is done by a tax practitioner, if this tax return is done by a tax practitioner, then you'll mark X. Otherwise, you leave it as is and you don't mark that portion. And then here are questions that you answer a yes or no from. And if you answer a yes or a no on this, it will then pull up the relevant section on your tax return. So, for example, here it's asking, did you receive any form of remuneration for foreign services rendered that is reflected on your South African IRP5? If the answer is yes, then you mark yes. If it's no, then it's a no. And then here, do you want to claim donations made to approved organization in terms of Section 18A? Here, remember, anytime you want to make a deduction, anytime you want to claim for something, or you want to put in income that you've received, rental income, tax income, you have to keep those records just in case you are audited by SARS, and then you've got the documentation on hand to show them why you have put in extra income or why you've put in the deductions that you've also accounted for. So if you are mark no, then that's what's going to happen. And then once you mark something that's compulsory, then it moves on to the next. And then you go on to the form and you answer the relevant questions, right? There's some, for example, that if it says, if it's grayed out, there's nothing that you can do for here. For example, this part here is grayed out. And the question is, taxpayer ceased to be a tax resident in South Africa? The answer is no, because this person was working in South Africa and therefore was a tax resident in SA, and therefore it's automatically grayed out. And then some of these are about like foreign income, if you rendered foreign services outside the SA, if you've received other income, like if you had a side hustle, and then this one here is saying if you have been unemployed for the full year. However, this is going to be grayed out because your employer has already given SARS the IRP5s, and so they know that you worked for a portion of the year. So this will be grayed out. If you haven't worked and no employer of yours gave SARS the IRP5s, then this is going to be open for you to say, yes, I wasn't working for the whole year, and therefore you declare that as is. And then other questions as well. This is about foreign services rendered outside South Africa. And then if you've been unemployed for any portion of the year, then you also put in here. So if you've been working for maybe 10 months of the year and say you were unemployed for a portion of the year, let's say if you're unemployed for any portion of the year, if we say yes, what will happen is that the form will then adjust to say, okay, if you're not if you were unemployed for a portion of the year, how many unbroken periods were you unemployed? So that's a full month. So you can only put in 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. You can't put in days. You can't put in 2.5 because, for example, let me try put 2.5. I can't even put in the point of it. So it's unbroken periods. So those unbroken periods are months. Okay. So I'm just going to go say no because this person was working throughout the year and therefore that's not applicable for this person. So then you answer the question to say mark if X. If you have remuneration for foreign services rendered outside SA, the person didn't, so I will not mark X. And then the next part of it is, did you receive income that is reflected on IRP5? The person did, and therefore it's grayed out. So your employer would already had given it to SARS. They were taxing you every single month, and at the end of the year, of the tax year, they therefore have your IRP5s received from your employer, and therefore it's automatically grayed out because this part is not applicable to you because they have your IRP5s from your employer. And then here, did you receive any interest from a real estate investment? This is no, because no third party has furnished to SARS any information that you've received income from them. So therefore, it's automatically grayed out. Here it shows how many certificates did you have. So this person received 3, which means that this person had 3 different jobs and therefore they have 3 different tax certificates that were given to SARS. Okay. And so therefore you continue with the questions and you answer them. And then you'll see here, there's some questions that will be like this, there's no answer. So then you mark yes or no. And depending on the yes or no, it then drives the bottom part of here, right? So that's how it will be. So you have to go through all of these questions. For example, some of the questions are about medical aid, some of them about if you made a transfer to any tax-free investment. The others are about retirement. If you made a contribution, if your employer made a contribution to a retirement annuity fund, and then also if you had income from any rental property that you're letting out, and also yeah, so the list just goes on and on and on. So if for example you did, you'll say yes or no, depending on what your situation is. If you're a director of any company, you mark X there. And so yeah, so these are compulsory. This is a compulsory portion of the tax return that you have to complete because this drives then the rest of the form. So that's the form wizard. After if you've completed the form wizard, what will then happen is that this will then turn to blue and then it's like, okay, it's good to go, it's correct and complete. Then you check your tax information, you check your banking details, and then you just then if you browse through your employer tax certificates that they've given to SARS, and then you check your income and then also your exemption. After that, what I'd like to do, I like to save it just to make sure maybe if I want to come back and do it later on because they're not due up until October, right? So you still have time. You don't have to do it right now. Okay, so after you have completed everything and you're happy with the information and you've gone through everything, then you submit your tax return. So you save and then you submit it. When you submit it, it's going to say like select that your information is correct, and then also it's going to then say view the tax the IT 34 that is going to issue you. But then I just want to show you what happens after you've submitted it. So I've submitted the tax return, I've completed everything and submitted it. So you see if you come here, then it says no more records because you've submitted your tax return. So how you see it in the future is that you go to tax to returns history, you select the personal income tax tab and you'll see your tax return that has been filed for 2024. Then you open it. It's okay. And then this is the tax return that you've just filed through e-filing. And then that's your IT-34 notice. And then that is the statement. So if you open the tax return itself, this is what it looks like. So everything is now blue, and you can see here it says back, print, and source code. So there's no more save or submit because you've just submitted it. Okay, so we're going to go and then to see what the statement actually says after you've submitted. So to see what your notice says, you open your IT34. So if you click on that, so here it now shows you what your IT34 is. So it's going to have your details here, and then all of your details and your reference, your tax number, and the tax period that you've been assessed for. And if you have an amount owed or due, is going to display it over here. So here in this tax return, it's a refundable. But if it's a payable, then it will show you at the bottom here, it will show you your payable amount, and it will also show you by which date you have to make that payment to SARS. So this is what the IT34 looks like. It has the income, has the deductions, and then it also then shows you your tax credits that have been applied and any assessed tax after rebates as well. And then it shows you your net credit amount or your net payable amount if you owe SARS money. So if you, and then at the top here of the notice, it then just gives you a summary, the date that you did the tax return, and then also show you the amount. So if it's a minus, then it means that SARS owes you money. But if it's a positive, it means that you owe SARS and you have to pay them by the due date. So we've seen the tax return, we've looked at the IT34, and then now if we look at the statement, so the ITSA is your statement. This is just like a normal statement. This is just like a normal statement like you would get from any other service provider that you deal with, right? So it's just like a summary of your statement. It shows you your statement period, the date, your reference number, which is your tax number, and then it shows you the balance. And also here it shows you the aging. So if, for example, you owe SARS, it will have an amount in the current period, and then it will show after 30 days, it will then move to this bracket here, and so forth and so on. So this is just a nice statement summary. And here it also shows you if you have to make a payment to SARS, it then shows you the banking details of where you have to make the payment to, which bank account. You can use any one of these bank accounts. And I'm quite sure that on your banking app, it probably is a public recipient. And then the bank account number, and also the bank name, and the reference when you make the payment will then be also shown there if you have to make a payment to SARS. So then this is then just like a summary of what your tax history looks like if you click on that. So remember when we first logged in, when you first log in for next year, you'll come to returns issued, you'll come to personal income tax, you'll click on that. You'll then request for 2025 next year and say request form, and then fill in the form. And then afterwards, then you go to returns history after you've submitted and you're happy. And then you can see all of your tax returns that you filed. And then you can also open them over here and see the information. So that's how you do your tax returns. And I hope this video has been helpful, and thank you very much for watching.